Today, I'm going to help you turn one login into 40,000 automations and actually help save your sanity in the process. Because while everyone else is stuck recycling the same 5 copy-paste workflows, you're about to tap into a warehouse of weird, wild, and surprisingly cheap APIs that can automate almost anything. You can start running your own automations tonight and have this very powerful tool, no code, running on your computer, in the cloud, wherever you run your n8n instance, today, tonight, wherever the hell you're at, whatever time it is. Let's get going. All right, let's get real here. Most automation videos promise you no code solutions, but what you get is a handful of overpriced plugins and a stack of monthly bills that multiply faster than your unread Slack messages. Listen, you want actual power, flexibility, and workflows that don't need an exorcism every time you click run? That's what RapidAPI gives you. What's RapidAPI, you ask? Thanks for asking. RapidAPI is the world's largest API marketplace. We're talking about over 40,000 APIs, all from one little login. That's 5 billion calls a month. Every kind of tool you can imagine is on there. Talking about weather, sports, AI shit, memes, LinkedIn scraping, real estate. Do I need to continue? If it exists online, it's probably on there. Here's the real deal about Rapid. Rapid is like the Amazon of APIs. Like, it's a smorgasbord of shit. One dashboard, one set of docs, one place to find, try, and connect everything from dad joke generators to global business data. You can go on there and check out developers' newly listed APIs. You can subscribe to them, test them, use any of them. Without memorizing a dozen sites or credentials, you get the basics in analytics, usage tracking, and playground where you can test any API right there just from the browser if you'd like. But we want to use it in n8n. Seriously though, you can be poking on APIs as much as you could be binge watching courtroom drama from the Diddy trial. Hey, I wish it was televised. But what's actually in the damn catalog? So like I said, a few things. Weather API's got Weather API and Open Weather Map. Talking about sports like live odds, scores, stats. Are you a gambler? This is it. This is the place for you. You got social data, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram scraping, finance, Yahoo, Alpha Vantage. You got entertainment, YouTube, Shazam, movie database, Pornhub. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's on there, but it might be. I'm not sure. Talk about meme makers, chatbots, upscalers, downscalers, email validation, real estate data, job search, background remover, and the list goes on. I'm just gonna stop waving my hands because I'm doing a lot of this. Here's why you should bother using RapidAPI instead of stacking up a bunch of SaaS subscriptions. From business data to pure fun, there's an API for everything. Seriously, half the time I find stuff I don't even know I needed, and I find myself building things that I don't really need at all. There's tons of APIs that are free or freemium, which means you could usually only pay after blowing through a ton of calls, which unless you're building the next Twitter is unlikely. There's usage analytics, stuff that tells you what works before you waste your time trying. And there's also the playground mode if you want to just test directly from the browser and while you're on RapidAPI. In playground mode, like in any other playground mode, the only playground you should be going to, you can test requests and see live data before you ever build a workflow. If it blows up, at least you know before you wire up in your boss's Slack, right? And there's no more search and rescue missions in your inbox for which dev key was it again? All right, that's enough mumbo jumbo for me. Keep watching here. I'm gonna actually walk you through setting up the account. It's real fast, real simple. And afterwards, we're gonna build a quick little workflow in n8n to get experience and see what it's like. Now let's go take it for a spin. All right, so today we're gonna build this automation right here today. We're not gonna build it from scratch though. We're gonna have you import a file and I'll explain how everything does just so it's a lot faster because this is really a simple workflow if you used n8n before. However, if you're familiar, it'd probably be good for me to just go through everything just to understand what's going on and show you how to replace your keys. A couple things that you need to know is that we're going to use a Google Sheets node in here, and to have Google Sheets connected, you will need to have Google Cloud Console and have created a Google Sheets API for your workspace. If you haven't done that, it's not very difficult. Just do it after this video is done. You'll be able to find a video right here. If you look in the top right corner, and that video has got a couple different things in it, but the very first section of it, I'll walk you through how to set up Cloud Console and how to get your Google Sheets API connected to your n8n if you haven't done that already. But assuming you have done that, and if you haven't done that, by the way, you can still run this workflow. You'll just not be able to save the actual transcript anywhere in the workflow. So, but you'll still be able to see it working, get it working up to that point. How this is gonna work out is it's gonna be a form, which is a user input. It's a user provided, it's a human in the loop form, which basically means that when you hit test workflow, what's going to happen is a pop-up is going to come open with a form, and this form is going to ask us for a channel ID and the number of videos we want to scrape. It's then going to get processed to a code node, sent to our first API, which is going to fetch the channel information as well as like the last few videos or however many videos you're requesting. It's going to also You know, it's going to look for the channel video URLs, the titles, length of them, basically all that, like a lot of metadata. It's going to extract the right information from that. It's going to send it through a loop. And in that loop, we're going to basically do one video at a time. And this is done because a lot of times with these APIs, especially if you're on a free plan, you'll have rate limiting, which means that say you're on a free plan, you might not be able to send like multiple requests over at a time. And we wanted to keep the instance to going without any errors or crashing. And sometimes if you overload it with like, I don't know, 100 URLs at a time or 100 videos that we're trying to transcribe, get transcriptions from, it might give you problems. So we're just going to do one at a time. And then it's going to go to our second API. I'll show you those in a second. And it's going to format that and then save it to Google Sheets, and that's it. We'll loop over. But first thing we're going to need to do is download the documentation, because I'm going to have you import this file into your new workflow. So let's go start with the new workflow. And from the blog article that's posted in the link below, you should be able to find two files. You'll get a link to a Google Sheets document. And that Google Sheets document is this right here. It is going to have 3 tabs. This first tab is the only one we're going to work in today. And it's pretty simple to see what's going on here. It's video ID, title, channel title. These are all different columns. You don't need to have every one of these that we're going to complete, but these are all options. So I'm giving you more than you might need. The only ones we're going to work with today are probably transcript and channel title and video title and video ID, I guess we could save also. I'm going to provide 2 more tabs also. This is a channels one, which this is if you actually create a list and put the name of the put the ID and then the channel name. ID is really the important one. The names just stay organized. This will allow you in future automations. You can create a Google Sheet note as a starting point. So if you want on a schedule, hey, every 5 hours or every day, look at this Google Sheet, pull the first ID, and then complete the rest of the automation. I'm not going to go through all that today. It's probably for a more advanced user at the moment, but this will show you the basics either way. And this last one is even more advanced, but it's strongly suggested, is creating an error log. So if you ever have any issues, you'll know exactly what the issue was. Was it an API issue? Was it something to do with my workflow? These will all be in the Google Sheet. We're only going to work with the transcript one today, just to keep it fast and simple. Next, we're going to need a subscription to RapidAPI. And RapidAPI is free to sign up. However, I think if you request more than 1 or 2 APIs to work with, to test out, you probably will be required you're probably going to be required to provide your billing information. And again, these are going to be free APIs that we're working with today. So you'll get a certain amount of free usage on them. However, after you pass a certain number, you're going to either get rate limited, or it will not work, or it will bill you per usage. So just gotta be careful with that. Make sure that you're aware of how many uses you have left. Okay, so let's go ahead and sign up for an account. And you can sign up with either your Gmail, or if you have a GitHub. Strongly suggest using GitHub if you have that. But we'll go ahead and create an account with a Gmail. All right, once you have your account created, it'll take you to your dashboard here. We'll come back to this in a second. But this is the dashboard. You can see all the different categories that are available to us to use. There's so many different ones. It's crazy what a cool API marketplace this is. Each one of these has got hundreds and hundreds. You can also browse by collections and see different ones for popular APIs, free public APIs, best text to speech. Look at that, this is crazy cool. Top meme APIs, SMS APIs. There's just so many of them. So going back to our workflow, let's go ahead and start by importing that JSON file that I told you to download. Go to the three little dots on the top right corner, import from file, and find your file. We're gonna go ahead and import it, and that's it right here. Now, like I said, it's gonna have a form in the beginning, and it's gonna be a human in the loop. So if we go ahead and start testing the workflow, we'll see what happens. The form's gonna pop open, and it's gonna ask us for a channel ID. And you can set this up different ways, and more advanced ways, you can just put the URL, but for us, we're gonna need to put the channel ID of the channel we're scraping. So to get the channel ID for a channel, one way to do it is by just Google channel ID finder for YouTube. And this is one of the first sites that pops up. And we're gonna do our @GoodSmartID handle, put it in there. I'm not a robot. Get channel ID. And there's our actual channel ID. So we're gonna need this for this form, paste it in there. We're gonna put number of videos as 2. Let's go back to the workflow so we can see what's going on here. And as you can see here, it's waiting for the trigger to continue. We're gonna go ahead and submit it. And cool, it went to the first node, second node. First node, we're gonna pin it, so that means it saves the data, so we don't have to run that node again. Second node, it got finished also, we'll pin that also, but just to show you what was in there, is a code node. And this is actually just processing the channel ID that we put in there, as well as a number of videos, and it puts it into a format that this next step can actually use. So this next step is gonna be the first API request. It's gonna be a call using a GET request, basically. Here's the channel URL, or the API URL that we're gonna require. I've already pre-filled this all in there for you. If you import the JSON file, exactly like I told you, you should have all this pre-filled out. The only thing we're not gonna have in there is our API key, because that you're gonna need to get from the RapidAPI that we're subscribing to. So this one's gonna be for a service called YT-API. So that one's gonna be, if you Google it, or if you look it up in search APIs, it's gonna be YT-API, the first one. It's got a really high rating, it's pretty fast, 100% reliable. That's everything we need. So we'll go ahead and click on it. And if you're not familiar with the back end of the dashboard, so this is for an API. This shows you a lot of things that it can do, all the different requests you can send, and the data that you can pull out of it. Again, there's probably more than we need to know in there. All we really care about is getting right now is the API key. So we're gonna take this key from here, make sure we're getting the whole key, so it's wrap around it, and don't select anything else other than the key. So no space, no apostrophe. We're gonna hit Control-C to copy. By the way, this is just different ways to test the endpoint. Like I was saying, this is for shell command, this is C, C#, HTTP. If you're a developer, these will look a lot more familiar for you. And you can test the endpoint from within the browser, which is really cool. See, there it's go. It's working for cat. I never searched that, but cat TV, cat meowing. So those are all cool things. And different examples of how you could do it too. But fortunately for us, n8n is a no-code solution, so we don't need to know all that right now. We're gonna paste the API key right here and test that. Perfect. So went ahead and took all the information from the previous node, which as you can see is right here is the channel ID, and then also, make this bigger for you, the max results, which is right there, and you can see the 2 and the ID below it. It's green because it's connected. It would be red, it would be bad because it'd be disconnected. And to the right with the output was what we have is description of our channel, the channel name, there's the ID, a bunch of information. All we're gonna care about is the last 2 video URLs, and if you scroll down, it went ahead and pulled those for us. We're not gonna go ahead and look at them right now, but here's the first video, and then there's the second video right there. So this information is gonna go to the next step. So let's go ahead and pin this next node also, hitting P, the pin. And we'll continue the workflow by hitting start for the next node. Extract video IDs is what it did, and guess what? It's exactly what it did, using a code node. By the way, these codes, if you need the code for either this or the other one, all you got to do is go to the blog article. You have both the option of getting the code node information with whatever's in there. Better if you just go to the actual blog article, copy it from there, or import the full file. It'd be a lot easier for you. All this code node here did though is it took all that data we sent into it and it parsed out just the first 2-3 videos. Cool, that's all we want. Next, we're gonna pin that and we're gonna go ahead and hit start on the next node. It's a loop node. And like I said, the loop node basically is just gonna parse it out. So it's not sending all these videos. In this case, there's 3 that got pulled. It's not sending them all at once. So go ahead and loop, and can't pin this one, but we're gonna go to the next node, which is gonna be our second API that we're using. And this API is gonna be, it's called Transcribe Fastest. So if we go back to RapidAPI, we'll look for a second API here. And the second API we're looking for is called YouTube Transcribe Fastest. It's by a author named Reza, R-E-Z-A-RG. But if you just type in transcript, you should be able to see it here in the top results. It's got a high rating. It's not the fastest, but it's 99% reliable. That's pretty good. So we click on it. And again, it's got all this information. We don't really care about that right now. It's already pre-set up, pre-filled, but we want this API key. So starting with 2, this one, again, this is my API key. It's not going to work for when you're watching this video, but I guess go ahead and try to use it if you want. But we're going to copy that, go back to the workflow, paste that in the header section. There's going to be a section called name x-rapid API key, and it says your key here for the value. We'll copy we'll cut out the value, or we'll delete the value and paste the key there. Everything else is pre-filled out already. By the way, just to explain what's going on here, we're sending this to URL a GET request. There's no authentication being sent because the authentication is being sent via the header, and that's right here. These are the format that this API requires it to be sent. Some APIs require the authorization to be sent a different way, like usually using a generic credential or something like a bearer. And we're also sending the query parameters, which basically means the parameters for what we want to pull via the URL. Hence this send query parameters. And all that is if you go to, like, I don't know, any website and you see like parameters after the URL. So it's like google.com / equals comma or question mark, and like different parameters like page or time, whatever those parameters are. In this case, this has its own parameters this API is going to require, and that's going to tell it exactly what we want to pull from it. So in this case, it'll be the URL, and it's got the URL pre-filled out with the video ID already from here in there. Be language would be EN for English, video ID for it is going to be right there. Again, these are going to be pre-filled out in your sheet. If you did exactly what I said so far, this will be ready to go, so you don't have to worry about that. Make sure this does say include response, headers, and status. It is checked on. Let's go ahead and test this step. You got to subscribe to the actual API first. Forgot to do that. Let's go back to this last one and subscribe to test. Start free plan. Okay, since this is the second API we're requesting, it's going to require card information. Let's go ahead and enter some card information for there. Great. So as you can see here, that we have a very long list, which is a transcript. And if you ever look at YouTube transcripts, like I said, has a timestamp. So it's like dive in blind, 6 months in, I've broken timestamp. It fixed it and finally figured out timestamp. So that's all good and handy. Unfortunately, though, that's not a very readable transcript. So we're going to pin this last node by hitting press P. Go to the format transcript node, and this is going to be a code node, and all this is going to go ahead and reformat that transcript into something that's readable. So hit test step, and again, you can get the code from the blog article, or if you have the JSON it's already imported. And there's the full transcript. It's kind of damn long. Go ahead and pin this also so we have it. All right, so in our next node, we're going to go ahead and look at our Google Sheets node, and assuming this is connected, and you watch that video, or you have your sheet node connected. Let's assume this is not connected, so we'll go ahead and just do by URL in our case. We'll pull the URL of the sheet, which for us is right here. And we would put by URL. Paste our URL there. Go ahead and select the sheet here. It'll load up, and for us it's gonna be the transcript sheet. Great. And we're gonna map each column manually, so I'll show you how to manually do this. And we're gonna put the transcript. We're gonna drag it from here and put it right there, and it'll be green because it's connected. So as you can see here, it would pre-fill out all this information in there. Looks like it would look like there would be the variable there, and it would look with the results right there like that. And by the way, make sure this is set to expression. Language, we're not going to worry about that. We're going to put the actual channel title and video title, but since those are not being processed in the last node, we're going to go ahead and open the last node where those are being sent, and that would be for us the loop node. So go to title, channel title, or video title is going to be right there. We can put the video ID as well, so if you really care about it, it's not really important. Channel title and channel ID. And we'll put publish that so we know when they posted it. And process that is going to be, we'll just put today's date. So let's go ahead and go to process that date, because this is when those processed that. And since we have it, let's go ahead and put the word count also. Again, you could add more columns in this. These are the bare minimum that we're going to put in there. I'll go ahead and test step. Great. So if we go ahead and look at our Google Sheet, we should have that information all filled out on our sheet. Look at that. We have the video ID, title, all that jazz. Let's go back to our workflow. Almost done here. And we're gonna unpin all these. Since we have this working, and we're gonna run this operation from the start. Well, actually, we'll start it off in the beginning. So hit save. And it's gonna wait 10 seconds when it's all done, by the way. It's gonna loop around and do the next one. So looking around, wait in 10 seconds. Since we are on a free API. And by the way, we entered billing information on there because if you hit 100 video searches on this, video transcripts, it's then gonna charge you 5 cents, I think it was, per video. So just be careful how many you're doing because you add your card information on there. Cool. All right, looks like we went ahead and scraped the last 2 videos, which is great. We have the transcripts right there. You can do those whatever you want. And that's it. That's the workflow. Now, most people dive into n8n and quickly realize it's not exactly plug and play. It's a little bit more than it's cut out to be for some people, but it doesn't have to be. Look, nodes don't always connect, errors pile up sometimes, and sometimes your easy automations just turn into a house of cards. But it's not always gonna have to be the case if you do a little bit of reading and learning. Listen, been there, of course, more hours than I can care to count, and that's not an understatement, but there is a shortcut. And that's after 100 days of me building, breaking, and rebooting n8n, I've nailed down what works. That's why you should actually watch my next video right here, which is actually gonna break down any beginner and intermediate lessons you need to know, any of the important features that I think I should have known from the very beginning, hidden tricks and real mistakes to avoid, especially if you're just starting out. All this step by step. It's a quick little 10-minute video. Watch it right here. And if you want to stop guessing and build workflows that last, that's the video you need to watch. Go right now. Go.